Hi, welcome to Anaprime Recap. You are the supreme king of the demons, and in order to end the war between the races, you must sacrifice yourself, reincarnating Anos later as a simple student at the Demon Academy. We are in the anime, The Misfit of Demon King Academy, episodes 1, 2 and 3. 2,000 years ago, an entity held immeasurable power in his hands. He faced spirits, humans, and even challenged the power of the gods in his battles. In the present day, young people from various places receive a call from the demonic institution, for it was certain that one of them would be the reincarnation of this dark being. All will go through various tests and approvals to finally greet the next Demon King. On the day of admission, Misha, one of the applicants, walks to the academy and meets another of the participants, named Anos Voldigoad. The two make their way to the place when they are confronted by another aspirant, Zeps, from the Indu family. However, the pair pay no attention to his intimidation and just continue ignoring the young man. The young man is furious with their attitude and conjures up in his hand the flames of darkness, a power that is said to burn even the gods. Anos, on the other hand, doesn't mind this and with a light blow, completely extinguishes his adversary's magic, then gives him a command to stand still, and quickly the candidate's body is paralyzed. He goes on his way, leaving Zeps unsatisfied with his defeat. When he arrives in a waiting room, he is informed that the first admission test is a duel between the candidates, where the loser is immediately disqualified from the academy and only 5 winners will be accepted into the demonic institution. And so the direct combat between the participants begins. The first confrontation is declared, and the two men, who had a disagreement earlier, face each other again, this time showing their true powers. Zeps enters the field wearing his anti-magic armor, allowing him to stay safe against his opponent's voice commands. As his main weapon, he uses the magic sword Zephyrid, a valuable treasure belonging to the Indu family, capable of enhancing the use of the flames of darkness. The young man realizes that his adversary does not use any weapons or magical defense, so he advances towards the young man ready to make a direct attack, but using a simple blow, Anos extinguishes the flames of his sword. The young man says that it is a tremendous mistake for them to face each other, because they were not at the same power level, stating that he will give a small advantage to his rival. He won't move from where he was, he won't use any magic, and neither use his blow. After a few moments of this arrogant declaration, Zeps suffers several internal wounds in his body, leaving him completely confused, as he did not know where this wave of attacks had come from. The protagonist then claims that it was only the beating of his heart. Zeps continues to hear this sound and receives several blows that increasingly tear his body apart. And even though he has suffered several attacks, the descendant of the Indu family says he will not give up. Knowing this, his adversary decides to test his resistance by making a pact with the young man. From now on he would not use compulsion spells. He invokes a covenant circle, and with a simple snap of his fingers, eliminates Zeps completely, but if he eliminated him, he would be disqualified, so he decides to resurrect him. Everyone in the audience is astonished by this. After all, resurrection magic is of a high level. So Anos begins a deadly loop of pain and healing, eliminating his adversary several times, making him suffer with the pain of losing his life and being revived in a terrible endless cycle. After going through this long and painful process, Zeps bows before his adversary, finally declaring his defeat. The young man goes on to the next test, at which point the magical power of each candidate is measured by means of a large crystal. However, when Anos tries to find out the amount of his power, the crystal breaks into thousands of pieces. The successful candidates proceed to the last entrance exam, which is a quiz with several questions about the Demon King, testing the student's knowledge of his ideals and ways of ruling his demon nation. At the end of the day, the young man meets Misha as he leaves the academy. He invites her to go to his house, where his mother is waiting for him with a real feast. The girl accepts the invitation and the two of them are quickly teleported to the door of the young man's house. The girl is impressed, for this type of magic was very old and few knew it to the point of mastering it perfectly. The young man is received by his mother and informs her that he has passed the tests. She is extremely happy with the news. After all, even though it doesn't seem like her 1-month-old son had already managed to enter the demonic institution. Yes, that is Anos' age. The woman also notices the presence of the girl in her house and already imagines that her son has brought a love interest. She and the young man's father are still excited about the young man's achievements. That night, everyone is sitting down to dinner and the protagonist's mother keeps asking the two of them several questions about how they met and what is special about each other. After this long interrogation of love questions, the young man accompanies Misha to her house, and while they are talking on the way, they are being watched by an unknown figure in the shadows. Anos tells the girl that she is his comrade, but she doesn't quite understand what that word means. He then explains that he used it in the past and a better translation for the present would be the term friend. As a new friendship begins, the two are surprised by field magic, causing them to enter a Colosseum arena. The youngsters are surprised by members of the Indu family. Zeps, who was unhappy with his defeat, brought along some subordinates and his older brother, Leorg Indu. Zeps says that the young man will not be able to defeat his brother and will suffer unimaginable pain. Upon hearing his brother's words, Leorg rebukes him, saying that he has dishonored the name of his noble family after losing the fight to a mongrel. Then he unloads a strong shockwave on his own brother, making him fall at his feet. Anos says that this talk of a noble family and a mongrel was pure stupidity. Leorg confronts him, saying that he will regret his words. His subordinates conjure circles of magic, but the young man asks them to watch what is in their hands. They all begin to experience a total loss of control of their powers. The young man says that they must make an effort to control them, otherwise they will end up being eliminated. Finally, everyone suffers a great explosion of their own magical powers, and the young man claims that those abilities would not be enough to defeat him. Hearing this, Leorg conjures a forbidden spell, being called Origin Magic, shooting a huge wave of power at his opponent. However, the young man replies that it has no effect against him, stating that this kind of magic cannot harm its own creator. He then conjures a magic circle and brings Zeps back to life, this time in zombie form. The young man receives an incredible increase in power, due to his thirst for revenge against his own brother, who mercilessly eliminated him. The two engage in a confrontation using Indu family magic, but Leorg is overcome by his younger brother who advances toward him with a powerful flaming attack. As a result, the two end up being completely burned. With defeat declared, the Colosseum begins to destroy itself entirely. The protagonist uses protection spells on everyone and conjures his circle of resurrection again, bringing the two brothers back to life. When asked who he really is, the young man says he is the forerunner of that world. His name is Anos Voldigoad, the demon king of tyranny. 2,000 years ago, during the combat between races, the demon king talks to a group of warriors. He says that this clash between demons, spirits and gods will have no result, only tragedies, pain and suffering for all sides. He makes a proposal to the hero Kanan, saying that if they put all their powers together they could create a magical barrier that would prevent the confrontation and end that relentless war once and for all. The hero asks if he really wants to sacrifice himself to end it, and he replies that the situation is already pathetic and soon he would be reborn into a new era anyway. All things considered, everyone merges their powers. Kanan strikes Anos, and says that if one day they reincarnate in the same era, he would like to be friends with the hero, and so the tragic war comes to an end. On his first day at the academy, Anos, the reincarnation of the powerful lord, talks to Misha about the real name of the former king of demons. The girl says that they should not talk about it. Everyone avoided revealing this information. But the young man is curious to know how much people know about his past life, and asks the girl just to think the name in her mind. The protagonist, as he puts his hand on his friend's head, realizes that his name known to everyone these days is Avos Dilhavia, a ruthless and benevolent lord who thought only of protecting the demon clan. Anos, upon learning this, understands that over time they ended up passing the wrong name between generations and distorted his entire history. His friend further states that the person who most closely resembles these characteristics is a strong candidate for the academy, and she is Sasha Necron, the Witch of Destruction. That morning, the students are told by their teacher to form teams to compete against each other in a contest that will take place very soon. She asks some students to apply to be team leaders. Anos applies and is quickly warned that he cannot become a leader. After all, he wore a white uniform, representing having hybrid genetics, and the students who wore a red uniform represented the direct blood descendants of the Demon King. Even so, he questions his teacher, saying that he was able to conjure the same magic circle that was in the room. Thus, the two create a pact. If he succeeds, he will be a leader, but if he cannot perform the magic, he will be expelled from the academy. Challenged by his tutor, he states that the conjuration of that circle has errors. Its utility is exclusively to increase the power of the students, but it is not yet completely finished. Making a small gesture with his hands, the young man concludes the magic circle, making it even more powerful. The teacher is impressed by this and finally accepts that he will become a leader. However, everyone prefers to stay with Sasha and the royal-blooded students. Only Anos and Misha remain as a single team. At the end of the day, when they are returning home, the main character is approached by Sasha, who challenges him to a team fight, saying that if she loses, she will join the young man's team, but if Anos loses, he will be her servant and will fulfill all her requests. He agrees to the challenge and states that he will not lose in any way. A week passes and the teams meet in a forest for the duel. The winner will be declared when their fortress is completely destroyed by their opponent. Misha asks Anos how they will fight the rival group as a duo, and the young man comforts her by saying that she shouldn't worry about anything. because he himself will finish this dispute very quickly. The girl says she is a guardian class, and Anos asks her to conjure magic barriers. That way she will form a fortress to defend herself in case the rivals attack. In her castle, Sasha leads the whole team in devising the best plan of attack, but realizes that her opponents have created 3 castles. The girl says that 2 are just illusions and only 1 is real. Knowing this, the group prepares for the first attack, but is surprised by Anos, who appears right in front of the enemy fortress. Sasha says that it is useless, because they were protected by several layers of anti-magic shield. The protagonist in turn doesn't care a bit about this and without making much effort lifts the huge castle off the ground with ease. He throws it up and makes it rest on his hands, spinning the huge construction as if it were a basketball, leaving all the students inside in complete despair. After this, he throws the fortress far away, causing it to be destroyed in several pieces. However, Sasha does not give up easily and asks her colleagues for support in conjuring a powerful fire magic. She borrows the energy of each of them and together they conjure a huge cannon. Then, using all the magic she can muster, she fires a huge fireball surrounded by volcanic lava. The protagonist is impressed by the high level of that magic and as a form of thanks, he launches from one of his fingers a small shot of fire, completely dissipating the enemy's attack and finally ending the rival fortress. He teleports in front of Sasha and tells her that she must fulfill her pact. The girl refuses and says she would rather he eliminate her once and for all. Anos, upon hearing this, says that it would be a tremendous mistake. After all, he would not take the life of a person with eyes so beautiful and full of magic. The girl is embarrassed by the comment, and realizing that he is not a profiteer, she accepts to be part of his team. Misha is happy to see that his sister will be part of the new team. Misha and Sasha are sisters, but because of family disagreements, they treat each other as complete strangers. That night, the protagonist takes the 2 girls to dinner at his house and his mother is amazed because she believes that her son now has 2 suitors. His father is also impressed because not even he has managed to accomplish such a feat. At the end of that day, he accompanies the 2 sisters to their home and realizes that they have made up and are fine with each other. Misha enters their residence, while Sasha is still talking to Anos. The girl ends up giving him a kiss even though she knows that her sister likes the young man. That same night, the 2 begin to talk, and Sasha comments that Anos seems like a good person. After all, he was not destroyed by the power of her cursed eye. Misha remembers that when they were children, she was the only one who was also not destroyed by her sister's eyes, and since that day, the 2 have formed a bond. The next day, the students are in class. The teacher explains that that year the Demon King will awaken, and so they would have special training, using superior magics from the 7 elder demon emperors. Anos, wondering what this was all about, he is informed by Sasha that 2000 years ago the Demon King created 7 direct subordinates of his own blood, and they were responsible for the creation of the Demon Academy. The professor announces the arrival of Ivis Necron, one of the 7 emperors. He is revered by everyone in the institution and is practically a deity. Upon seeing the emperor, Anos calls him normally by his name and awakens a tremor in everyone in the room. The teacher immediately apologizes for his student's audacity. The protagonist approaches the demon and asks if it doesn't recognize him. The demonic being says that he doesn't remember anything, because his memory was erased 2000 years ago. Knowing this, the young man puts his hand on its face and somehow tries to recover his distant memories, but realizes that they have been erased on purpose by someone. Anos speaks that they will continue the conversation later, and then Ivis proceeds with the start of the class. He explains to the students that his class consists of studying fusion magic, which serves as a way to amplify your power by fusing 2 spells of different elements. After the end of the class period, Anos meets Ivis in the corridors of the institution. The demon still doesn't believe that the young man is really the reincarnation of his master. He says he is confused, because in his mind the Demon King is Avos Dilhavia, but he notices something nostalgic in the young man, which, in a certain way, gives him credibility. Even so, he prefers to remain neutral for a while, wanting to thoroughly analyze all his memories before making a decision. Later on, Sasha confronts her group of friends by saying that she will be part of the Anos team. Her classmates don't take it very well, as they consider him just a mutt, and that girl walking next to him is a weirdo. Sasha is enraged when she hears this, and even uses some of the power of her Eye of Destruction. Nevertheless, she definitely joins the team that her sister is part of. The groups form for a new exam. That day it would be the challenge of the Labyrinth in the basement of Delsgate. The objective of each team is to collect magic items, weapons and shields, which will be worth points. After the explanation, all the students go into action in search of the treasures. Anos stands still and tells Sasha that she shouldn't worry. After all, if they only get the royal scepter that is on the altar on the last level of the dungeon, they will receive an A. The girl confronts him saying that not even teachers are capable of reaching this level, and that this could only be a made-up story. The protagonist says he is sure of what he is talking about. After all, this is his castle. The trio walks through the corridors, and while Sasha leads the way, Anos talks to Misha about the birthday gift the girl would like to give her sister. The young man says that there is a room with several treasures and jewels, and when they arrive there, the girl could take whatever she wants to give to her sister. The group of friends find themselves in a dead-end corridor, but the young man tells them that this was a secret passage. Even Sasha, with her destructive gaze, could not detect any hidden path in the room. Anos then walks forward and destroys the wall just by walking through it, and the two girls follow him. After walking for a while, they find themselves in a shrine hidden underground. Anos remembers the place well, but says that it has undergone some changes over time. Further ahead, the trio comes across a door that led straight to the Great Altar, and upon entering they realize that there really was a magic scepter. Anos calls Misha to follow them into a secret passage, and in that place, there were several types of treasures. He asks the girl to choose the one that best suits her sister Sasha's taste. The girl takes a red coat, an item that provides whoever wears it with a magical flame that is never extinguished. Then, the two return to their teammate. The girl hands the gift to her sister. Sasha is extremely grateful, saying that she hadn't prepared anything to give her back, but her sister tells her not to worry about it. Sasha asks Anos to leave the room, for she is about to put on her new item. The young man obeys, and when he returns to the room he finds Misha struck in the chest with a dagger, and her sister says that this was all part of her plan. Anos doesn't buy that little game and asks what she would gain from it. The girl doesn't answer and immediately puts a magic spell on her sister, saying that if Anos made any kind of attack, the dagger would penetrate even further into Misha's body. She tries to strike the young man, but has her hand held back. Anos undoes the magic and instantly heals Misha. Sasha doesn't understand how this was possible, but it turns out that by the time she returned to the room, the young man had already healed her friend, and what Sasha was seeing was nothing more than an illusion. The young man keeps asking what her real intentions are in doing this, but she leaves the room with the cloak and scepter, saying that there are still 7 hours left to accomplish her goal. Misha reveals to Anos that his sister is just a doll and that she would disappear when she turns 15, that is, the next day. Sasha has never been a real person. What does Sasha intend to do with the scepter? What attitudes will Anos take towards this problem? So, what did you think of this anime? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like it and subscribe for more anime recaps. See you next time.